My name's Derek Allison. I am part of the Social Studies department here at Lexington High School. I've been here for 8 or 9 years at this point. So on 9/11, I was a freshman in high school. I actually graduated in 2005, but in 2001, we were in our first week of high school. I was actually in a religion class and in study hall when we were told that we needed to turn our TVs on, and for the rest of the day we really watched kind of the events in New York City and then Washington DC and then in Pennsylvania play out on screen until my dad took me out of school around 12:30 p.m. that day. So I can tell you almost every second of my day, not because I thought anything of the moment, but when I got home, what I found was really weird. My dad took me out of school, and my dad usually is at work, and we found out later that my grandparents were actually scheduled to fly on Flight 11, which was the first plane that hit the towers in New York. They were supposed to fly out of Boston that morning. For whatever reason, their travel agent sent them to Providence, Rhode Island, and they were on a plane over St. Louis, Missouri, when all the planes in the United States were grounded. But what we didn't know was that they were on that plane. So for the next 2 or 3 days, we were in Connecticut preparing to figure out what the funeral was going to look like for Grandma and Grandpa until they finally got to Houston and checked in with my uncle, and suddenly we as a family, had 2 family members who were dead and gone, kind of back in our life. I mean, obviously with thinking that family members might have been on planes as part of that. And the school that I went to in Connecticut was a private school, so we had a lot of kids from different areas in Connecticut. And with Connecticut being so close to New York and so many people working in the financial district, there were actually 40 some odd kids that lost a family member, whether it was, a mom, a dad, an uncle, an aunt. One of the kids that I graduated with actually lost both of their parents because they both worked in the Twin Towers that day. So for us, it became something that was a school-wide moment that we would never forget. I certainly will never forget kind of how I felt on that day, and as the news came in and as people discovered what they discovered. And for me, 9/11 is much more than just simply a Remembrance Day. As a history teacher, I get to teach a lot about it, but for me, it's much more personal than that. I'm lucky. I lost my grandparents for about 2.5 days. Some of those people that I know obviously have lost their people forever.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Perry, and I teach math at Lexington High School, and I've been asked to share my 9/11 story. So I specifically remember the day because I was teaching in Upper B. That was before E and F Hall even existed, and Miss Jennings, who taught next door to me, came through the back door and said, "A plane just flew into the World Trade Center in New York City." And I was like, what? So then we had TVs in every room. So we actually turned on the television and we watched the second plane fly into the second tower. And what do you say? What do you say to your class, and what do you say to each other? I mean, our mouths just dropped. I am a member of the Army National Guard. I joined the Army on September 25th, 1999. So I joined before 9/11. And so this September I'll have 22 years in the Army National Guard. The weekend before 9/11 was a Tuesday, I had duty that weekend with my unit, the 132nd MP Company at the time. I had just earned my commission as a second lieutenant in August before school started. And they had a ceremony that weekend to pin me as a second lieutenant. So the tower flies in, the planes fly into the towers, and once my class was dismissed, I had planning or lunch, I don't remember exactly which. I called my commanding officer and I said, "Sir, what do I need to do? Do I need to get a substitute? Do I need to come in immediately? What are we doing?" Because all of a sudden what that meant is that we were at a heightened state of security. So all the National Guard armories in the state of South Carolina were under specific security. I mean, they were surrounded. Nobody was getting in, nobody was getting out. I mean, nobody really knew what had happened at that point, and I was completely deflated because my commanding officer said, "Erica, I really appreciate the offer, but you're not trained as a military police officer yet, and so unfortunately you can't come in and serve." And my heart fell because I didn't know what I was going to be able to do to support America, my students, my community, my family at that time. And then fast forward to 2003, and the war in Iraq started in March. And my unit, I was with the 133rd Military Police Company out of Timmonsville at that point. I was a platoon leader, and we got called to active duty. And February 10th, I reported for duty, and then I didn't come back to school for another year. And we got to serve in Iraq, and so I had an opportunity to do that. And so the feelings I had on 9/11, I was actually able to use my training and go forward. I also deployed to Afghanistan in the summer of 2011, and I missed the school year 2011-2012 as well. The school, Lexington High School, Lexington 1, they've always been so supportive of everything I've ever done with the National Guard, and I'm so eternally grateful for that. But I also have some friends and colleagues that I lost as a result of the war. I wear this bracelet. I've been wearing it since February of 2012. My friend Ashley that I served with in Afghanistan was killed in action on October 22nd, 2011, and she was one of the most incredible people I've ever met. And we were there sort of on a special mission, and we were all kind of piled together. We did some training that summer, and it was in support of the 75th Ranger Regiment, and she was killed in action along with 2 other Rangers that day, and I will never forget her or her sacrifice. And then on June 20th, 2012, the 133rd Military Police Company was in Khost Province in Afghanistan, and they were doing a checkpoint, and we had 3 from the 133rd MP Company that were killed in action that day. First Lieutenant Ryan Rawl, who is a graduate of Lexington High School, Sergeant First Class Brad Thomas, he's from the upstate, and then Sergeant J.D. Metter, who is also a graduate of Lexington High School, and actually the intersection between the tech center and the high school is named after him. And so a lot of people are talking about numbers and how many people were lost in Afghanistan as a result of the war, especially with the shutdown and everything. But you know, when you know people, when you've been there, it's a little bit different. I've been blessed to serve with some amazing people, and I continue to be blessed with that every single day. And I hope that what I do in uniform lives up to their legacy and everything that they had to offer in their sacrifice.